Are you ready for this?
Well, speaking of World Series, I think I saw maybe 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, somebody posed the question on Twitter: Who would win? What's the better team between the 2005 White Sox and the 2016 Chicago Cubs? And it's such an obvious question. I can't believe you and I have never discussed this directly in our personal time hanging out, or certainly on this blog podcast. We've had what 14 years to,
Yeah, I mean, this
to
is what
talk
it's.
about it. Well,
By
not
the way,
that
this
long,
is
but
what it's come to now. Like we have to discuss this because there's nothing else worth truly like talking about with these teams. I
well,
mean,
yeah,
from a
there's not a whole
positive,
lot.
not a whole lot of positive stuff of the team themselves. There's
At
maybe
this
positive
moment.
things happening outside of it, but the
Yeah,
actual teams that are being assembled at the moment, it's not
yeah, the Cubs
looking
have
great.
had another dormant off season, which we'll get into after this. But yeah, there's not a whole lot of other things to talk about. But this subject came up, and I couldn't believe we hadn't discussed it. I think it'd be very fun for you and I to actually. We don't disagree on much these days, so it'd be good for us to have a healthy debate. Which team would actually win a World Series? The 2005 White Sox or the 2016 Cubs? And we put no stipulations in how these arguments need to be formed. I had my ideas. We were partying last weekend, as we mentioned, or a couple weekends ago in the Chicago suburbs. You said you had a stack of statistics to back up your argument. I have a few here that I'd like to discuss, but I'll give you the floor if you want to start this debate.
All right.
Where do you land?
uh, I'm shocking development. I'm going to go the Sox beat the Cubs.
What?
I
I
know.
can't believe you would
Uh,
say
and
that.
here's the reason why.
All right.
White Sox World Series OPS 847, Cubs World Series OPS 720. Sox average 5 runs a game. The Cubs average 3.85 runs a game. The Sox starting pitching in the World Series was a 2.63 ERA. The Cubs was a 3.43 ERA. The Sox whip was a 1.112, and the Cubs pitching was a 1.24 whip. Dunzo.
Wow. So your argument is based on a 7 game sample size. That's what you're going to say.
Only four for the White Sox, but I can walk through the
11 games is what you're basing this on.
I can walk you through the entire series,
No, I get.
each
I will
level of the
cede you.
series, as to why the Sox would still beat the Cubs, because you can take the regular season records, but they don't mean anything once you get to the playoffs. They're
They also don't mean
insignificant.
anything when they are 11 years apart. So,
Yeah, but it
uh,
doesn't mean anything when you get to the playoffs, like how well you performed in the regular season. It's how well you perform in the playoffs. And the White Sox dominated the playoffs. The Cubs struggled through it a little bit. And
we
to
both
me,
won. We both won 11 games. We can agree upon that.
well,
Somehow we both came to 11. So, uh, I'm gonna just completely blow your argument out of the water with the sample size argument, because you're talking about a total of 11 games, as you corrected me. That is a hot streak. You guys enjoyed the hottest streak of hot streaks at the absolute perfect time. Now I'm not denigrating your achievement. You are the World Series champions forever. I don't want to say you are not worthy. The 2005 White Sox are the best postseason team, I think, maybe ever. That is a hot streak, though, and that is the definition of a small sample size. So I don't want to give my argument away, but I wanted to do a blind taste test for you, so to speak, the Pepsi challenge, as we used to call it when we were kids. I don't know if you recall that, or anyone listening to this podcast, what the Pepsi challenge was, but they posed a series of commercials where they just had people drink 2 different sodas. They had no idea the cans were covered up. You had no idea what you were drinking. Uh, they just absolutely asked people to choose if they like Coke or Pepsi. They just by a blind taste test, and by overwhelming numbers, believe it or not, Pepsi won. Are you a Pepsi fan or a
No, I
Coke fan?
fucking think Pepsi sucks.
I think Pepsi is mediocre. I don't really drink regular soda. I drink Coke Zero is all I
Yeah,
drink actually.
Pepsi's like flat. It tastes flat to me. It always
I don't.
has.
Yeah, I love Coke Zero. That's basically all I drink. I've had Pepsi's version. What are they? Pepsi One or I don't know what they call
Pepsi's, yeah, there's Pepsi Zero now or
it. Maybe it's
something.
Pepsi Zero.
Everything's a zero now. Everything's a
That was
zero.
mediocre, but so I would have failed that challenge at the time or whatever was going on in the 80s when they were doing this. Somehow Pepsi tasted better than Coke, but maybe this will throw you off because I'm going to give you the blind taste test between Team A and Team B.
And what is the sample size of this?
This would be 162 ball games.
But that does not determine the playoffs. It's insignificant.
That's not insignificant.
Yes, it is insignificant because the best.
You're not even going to let me do my argument. You're already butting in.
I'm just telling you. Go ahead, give it. I know the Cubs have a better. The Cubs finished 1 and 2. They finished 1 in pitching and 3 in hitting that year, and the Sox finished 10th in hitting and 4th in pitching.
I'll give you the actual.
I know the Cubs are a better regular season team, but that doesn't make them a better postseason team.
That doesn't make them a worse postseason team. I mean, it just doesn't. So I'll just give you the numbers here. Then I won't even make you do the blind taste test, as this has clearly irritated you. The Cubs runs 808, Sox 741. That's a 60. That's a 67 run differential, which is another thing you don't like. The team OPS, Cubs were 772, Sox 747.
Yep, got that right here in front of me.
Team ERA, Cubs were 315, Sox 361. Here's back to the run differential. Cubs were a whopping 252 plus run differential. Sox a respectable 96. And of course, wins. The White Sox had 99 and the Cubs had 103. That's negligible, but that's probably my weakest argument. But you and I are just going to disagree about hot streaks versus large sample size, because I think it's clear that the White Sox are an inferior team to the 2016 Chicago Cubs
in the regular season, but not in the postseason, because the White Sox. Do you realize in the ALDS against the how many innings did a White Sox starting pitcher pitch in the ALCS?
Will that happen every time they play in the postseason? Clearly not.
How many innings did a reliever?
You take a larger sample size to figure out what would translate in a future aspect.
No, you don't.
I just did.
No, you take when the competition is the toughest.
You take the smallest sample size possible. That proves nothing.
It proves out every year when a wild card team wins the fucking World Series.
I'm saying your hot streak is not guaranteed to happen every time you play in the postseason.
I'm guaranteed, but how can you say it's not going to happen with the 2005 team?
How can you say it will?
Because I saw it happen. Because I saw it.
You saw it happen one time in an
right
11,
with the 2005
game span.
Team. Yes,
and I think it would not be enough to overcome all the stats I just gave you of the Chicago Cubs. So
but the Cubs did not produce those. The Cubs did not produce those stats at all in the playoffs.
They did. They did enough to win the goddamn World Series. What are you talking about?
Okay,
You're acting like they were a shit team in the World Series throughout the playoffs. They were not. They won the exact same number of games you did.
Well, everyone would. Yeah, but how many games did they play to get there? We only played 11 games.
Well, we played 5 more than you did. Congratulations.
Yeah. You had a 7-game World Series. We had a 4.
So you're 5 games better in a short sample size hot streak.
We are in the
I proved it for 6 months. 6 months of every stat possible. I would give it to you if any of those stats
we're in the
relevant
top 3 of all time most dominant.
Yes, I'm giving you that.
Performances.
You're arguing the same point that I've already conceded. But it's meaningless to this debate.
No, it's not meaningless.
I'm taking
you're saying the same team in the regular season shows up in the postseason, and that has been proven time and time again to be insignificant.
And I'm saying, yes, you were better in the postseason than you were in the regular season, but that wouldn't be enough to overcome how good the Chicago Cubs were in 2016.
No, not true.
Okay.
Statistically, it's
I
proven
think we
out
could stop. I
from
think
the
we could
playoff
stop.
numbers that is not a fact.
That actually you're wrong. You're just refuting something that it's impossible to refute. So I think we could just I knew this was gonna happen, where we were gonna end up, but I think you made your point. I made my point. We'll let the listeners decide. Maybe we should put up a poll. Can we get a poll on maybe can I put a poll on a YouTube segment? I don't think I can.
I'm not positive on the
Well, I
YouTube
can when I
poll.
post it on Twitter. So I'll post it there. Like who would win this or who won our argument at least? Because I mean, people will be have their biases before they even see this post. But I don't know. I don't think there's anything else you and I could say because I think we're already going in a circle. But
I agree. Let's move on.
it's about time, as we haven't had any kind of debates. We kind of just both have been piling on the White Sox for the last couple of years.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna live in some fucking dream world that
I've been
it's not
piling.
good shit over there. So.
I've been piling on the Cubs for years. I think you might remember.
Well, sort of.
My God,
You did not have the reality that they were not gonna make the playoffs last year, as I did, but
I picked them to win 77 games last year. What do
no,
you
but
mean?
when we were down the stretch, you had drank the Kool-Aid by that point.
Well, and they came one game short. So I mean, congratulations to you. You win that. So yeah,
I do, because one
make
game short still means you're not in the fucking playoffs.
but to
So
characterize me as Pollyannish because I came one game short, that's stupid. So
okay.
congratulations.
Well, thanks for calling me stupid. Let's move on.
I said that's stupid. Your argument. I mean, you're not stupid.
I'm gonna cry.
I wouldn't do a podcast with you if I thought you were
I'm
stupid. Come on now.
I'm joking. All right.
Word Hole Media.